Hey folks, we're back. Cindy
Hi.
on the left there. Cindy's got a new computer that keeps adjusting the light, so sometimes we get to see her and sometimes we get to see glare, but she's right there. And then Robin Rossignol right on your right, and we're going to talk about her fair entries tonight and learn what she went through to make those, and then we'll identify which ones beat Cindy out at the fair. Yeah. So I saw Susan Hennig just found out last night that our son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter are moving from Phoenix to Huntley. So Susan, we'll have to get together for lunch because we'll be in Illinois a whole lot more than we'll be in Phoenix. I can tell you that. It's a whole lot
Where's
cheaper to
Huntley?
drive 5 hours.
Where is Huntley?
Northwest of Chicago, out in the farm country. So
Oh, that's going to be so great to have them that close to you.
yeah, they they moved to Phoenix and had Brooklyn in January, and have come to
Mhm.
realize that there's no family around. And
Yeah.
Michelle, Kevin's wife, her sister has a baby and is pregnant with twins, and her parents live in Illinois, and so they just and water is becoming a concern. And it was,
Hmm.
do you sell your
Yes.
house and get full value for it or take the chance? And so the whole thing came together, and they're building a new house in Huntley, and really 10 miles from where we used to live. So
Oh,
yeah, but 5 hour drive versus $1,000 and 2 days of air travel, we'll take it. So
yeah.
yeah, so that was good news last night to have that. Um, so Susan, we'll have lunch when we get there sometime next year. Um, yeah, these kids, they're gonna they're putting their house on the house is being built and won't be done till the first of the year, but they're putting their house on the market and getting out and figuring out what they're going to do back in Illinois. But they're moving right away. They can work. They work for CVS corporate, so they can work wherever they want, and
Oh,
you know,
good.
just pick up and move. We planned for a year, and they just pick up and go. Different generations.
Yep.
No show next week. No Stitch Hour and no podcast. I have to do a business trip, and next Wednesday night I'll be on an airplane. So it's at the beginning of October and the last week of October, I have to do business trips, the 2 of 3 for the year. But it just isn't practical to do anything. So nothing next week, and then we'll get back, and then at the end of October, we'll have another Wednesday because that one's I'll be gone almost all week. So no show, no podcast next week. Sunday's guest, I'm starting to get lined up. This time of year, what we try to do is get as many shows recorded, Sunday shows recorded as we can, so that we can get ahead and into the first week of the new year. Because the closer you get to November, the busier people come and it's harder to get people interviewed.
Hmm.
So really trying to build them up. I got several in the works right now. Sunday's guest though is Ruth Singer. Been trying to get her for quite a while. She's in the UK, and she describes herself as an artist maker. And so it's embroidery, dyeing, quilting, textile art. It's the whole shooting match. But ruthsinger.com, go to her website. It's the only word I can come up with for her is deep. She has so many things going on, and her thinking is so deep in terms of what to do with textile arts that normally we have notes for a show, page and a third. Had a full 2 solid pages of notes for her and didn't get to half of it. It was that kind of
Wow.
conversation, and of course she was one of those you flip the switch and she just goes, and it was so much fun. But check her out. And to give you an example, I was telling Cindy and Robin, one of the things that she was experimenting with was how do nature nurture? How do you demonstrate a love for nature and caring for trees and plants And one of the ideas was to wrap quilts around trees. But then how do you do that without it looking like you're trying to create some surreal photo shoot? And so she took some quilts that she had, just quilts she'd made, stacked in a room or whatever, and wrapped them around trees. And it didn't work because a lot of them were very white and it looked very out of place. But what's fun about her is, okay, we tried that, it doesn't work. Now, what do we do to make it work? What kinds of quilts or other textile arts do you make that you can wrap the trees and create this visual experience of nature nurture? And I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. A lot of her projects are very long term, but you can join her group, and there's a fee for it. But join her group to participate in these kinds of projects, this kind of thinking, long term. They get together a little bit. She does podcasts. She does just started a digital magazine, but it's all around these ideas and what to do with them. It's fascinating stuff. So that's Sunday's guest, Ruth Singer. Check her out if you're at all interested in that level of textile art. You will find her to be a real special lady, and yeah, it was very cool, very cool. So that's Sunday. Remind you of the Painter's Threads sampler package, $35 at threadnuts.com. Excuse me, and that includes shipping. So it's just a straight $35 to get that sampler package, so you can play with the Painter's Threads. So just a reminder that Jane Garrison has those available. And that was a couple weeks ago. So that's it. I wanted to. Last time we did this, so far no technology problems. So we're hanging in there.
We're good.
Is my volume, because Cindy mentioned afterwards last time my volume was too low. Is my volume fine? Somebody let me know. I think Robin and Cindy's is fine, but trying to get this thing back on track. I've been working off and on in the past couple weeks to try and make sure things get buttoned down. I did not get the time it takes to experiment with Facebook, which is a good 3 hours of monkeying around. I did not get that, so we'll try and get Facebook for the next show. But let me know if the sound is okay. And I see
Looks
we're
like
getting,
it.
yeah, sound like most, okay. All right, good.
Kathy, yeah.
Okay.
Kathy said it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, good. We can do that. So what we have here tonight is we have Robin's state fair entries. We saw Cindy's last time. Was that last time we did it?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. So we have Robin's entries, and were you guys took all the ribbons? Is that how it worked?
Oh, no.
Not quite, but almost.
So Robin has several of them, so we're going to look at them and talk about them, and Robin will kind of give some insight into what she did with these things to make them happen, and just spend the evening doing that. And oh, and one other thing, I've been doing a lot of thinking about what to do with Fiber Talk in general, in terms of, I mean, I'm still going to do the podcast, that's not going to change that. But if there are other things that you would like to see, let me know. Just send me an email, Gary@wetalkfiber.com. Other things you'd like to see us at least consider that might enhance stitching for you, let me know, and we'll play around and see what we can do with them. But just, yeah, wouldn't mind a little input. Just seems like it's time to put something else on the board. So, all right, so let's see here. We're going to go to this and this. All right, everybody should be able to hear. And so what Robin sent a picture of a grouping and then individual pictures of these things. So this is the first grouping. So Robin, tell us about this one.
So I entered 2 different divisions at the State Fair in Fabric and Threads. These were the entries in the counted thread division that earned me a sweepstakes prize, and that's what the big ribbon is for. And And counted thread encompasses all the fun techniques I like to do. The pulled work, heart hanger, mixed technique samplers, Swedish weaving is in there. They have generic categories like picture over a certain size, under a certain size. There's ornaments or holiday decoration. Three-dimensional is a class. So these were the pieces that placed. Now I had one piece that didn't place, and it didn't place because a bug decided to poop on it.
Oh, no, no. Gee.
I was disqualified because it was dirty.
Done in
When
by
I got
bug
home,
poop. Jeez.
yep, I was able to get it out. And had I noticed it earlier, I would have solved the problem before, we went over.
It is a fair.
So.
It is a fair. So yeah. All right. So help me. I'm not versed in the state fair vernacular. So what does it mean, sweepstakes? Does that mean your body of work in that thing is the winning thing?
Yes. Yeah, it's for overall excellence in one of the divisions.
Okay.
And so this was counted thread. You should, as a rule, you need to have multiple entries, and at least one of them needs to have a blue ribbon.
Oh, okay.
For you to be considered by the judge for the sweepstakes prize. And this is at the judge's discretion.
Okay. All right. So then, I love this little thing.
This is a Victorian cone, and I cannot remember who the designer was, but it was primarily a heart hanger pattern, and because it's three-dimensional, I shot all three sides so you could see.
Right.
That's the other side. You'll notice there's silk ribbon. There's some buttons that I had that worked with the colors that were on it. I did some embroidery stitches. There's a nice chain stitch. I couched some things down. Did a little bead work. Because the pattern itself was very plain. It was that wonderful eyelet edge that you do in heart hanger, which for your blanket stitch, and then that diamond on the front. So there was all this blank space. So away I went.
Oh, okay. So this, yeah, I was going to ask. So a lot of this is just your own.
That was just me filling up the space.
Wow.
And this is not the one that I considered technically the best. That one I'll put in next year.
Okay.
Sandy P says at least it wasn't a bird that hit your work.
What was that?
Sandy P says at least it wasn't a bird that hit your work.
True.
Yeah, that would have been ugly.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the first one here and talk about the Okay. I love the top edge there.
And that is a classic heart hanger edge. When you do blanket stitch, a lot of times you go in and do eyelets to help secure the threads for when you cut so it doesn't unravel on you. I'm pretty sure those are gladiolas in silk, in the blue, in the yellow, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's gladio. And I have all of this silk thread. I say put some bugle beads on it.
Yeah.
I might have gone and visited some of Judith Baker Montano's stuff to get inspiration because I've got a couple of her books.
So you just took, of course, you're working off a flat canvas at this juncture, but you just took kind of created sections and then decided what would go in it.
Yes, that's exactly what I did.
When it was flat, Robin, was it a half circle or a triangle? What was the shape?
I think more triangular. I want to do another one, so I'm going to have to unlace one of them.
Oh.
To get the lay of it, so I can then stitch it. I haven't figured out what color fabric, what linen I want to do it on, and that's on a pale apricot, a pale peach linen, probably 28 count, might be 32.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you about how you join that because that looks elaborate.
It's just laced up the back through the eyelets.
Oh,
That's all it is. And I am, and inside to keep its shape, I cut a piece of white felt to put in the front, and then I stuffed acid-free tissue paper in it.
okay.
I'm lazy. I admit
Hey,
it.
hey, you got to figure it out somehow. So the ribbon work, I'm fascinated by ribbon work. I want to give that a try. So it's amazing to me how just pulling ribbon and how you bring it through the hole and bring it back down, how you create all these shapes. Is it fairly simple to do?
It is. There really are just a few basic stitches. Lazy Daisy is one. Then there's one called ribbon stitch. And you can see that a little bit in the leaves on the gladiolas. Because you come back through a certain point and it helps fold it into a V shape.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a loose stitch, which I think if you go down to the daisies in the other picture or on the front, yeah, you can see part of one down at the bottom. Let me see if it's better from the front. They're down near the bottom of the piece. Keep going. There we go. Okay, you can see the leaf stitch really well, the silk ribbon stitch really well on those leaves. And then the other one might be a lazy daisy in there.
Okay.
With some French knots.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really easy, especially if you've done surface embroidery. If you've done crewel work and surface embroidery, you already have most of the basics down.
Oh, okay.
Susan Hennig asked if you used a laying tool with the ribbon.
No,
Just let her go, huh?
it's funny, the only thing I use the laying tool for is when I'm working on canvas and I've got stranded threads that I want flat.
Mm-hmm.
All of that was done in hand.
You can kind of guide the ribbon and stroke it with your needle
Yes,
to get it to
yes,
lay the way that you want it to.
yeah,
Well, here the daisy shows up really well here.
yeah. And those are French knots in the middle.
Uh-huh. With ribbon, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Silk ribbon.
Yes.
Little rosebuds. Oh, I see. I did a spider
She
in tone on
forgets.
tone, but
She forgets.
I could pull it out and look at it up close. I've got them sitting here with me if I need to.
Bullion knots here.
No, that's a whipped spider. So you lay the arms and then you go under and over and slide under the next one and come up
Oh,
over
okay.
and keep
Okay.
going around. It's actually a technique Gay Ann Rogers loves to use.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can see it. Oh, now I can see it there. All right. Yeah, I'm starting to pick
Yeah.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The over dyed on this was Rainbow Gallery's Encore and Bravo. Because a single strand of one is equivalent to a size 8 pearl cotton and the other one behaves like a size 12 with a single strand.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very sad that they've discontinued the Encore, I believe. Because I love using them for heart hanger.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All of that, those color changes are the thread.
Yeah. They overdyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The color combination really works nicely. Yeah.
Yeah. The other one is on sage green linen with the same thread.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm debating, do I want to use that pale lavender that was so popular in the 90s, or do I want to see if I've got a piece of pink that'll work?
Yeah. Well, you had
Because
fun
I have
putting.
enough of the, Yeah, I have enough of the Encorn Bravo to do another one.
Uh-huh.
This might have been the period where I was interested in doing color studies, like how does your background change how something looks?
Uh-huh. Neat. Worked out great. All right.
Thank you.
So this, all right.
This.
So the sweepstakes. So what? 2 first places? What? How many first places in this group?
Three firsts and the second.
Oh, okay. That ain't bad.
These are Nutmeg Needle. She was one of my favorite designers. I've done a lot of hers. And this was in the class Mixed Techniques. So there's a little bit of cross stitch. There's some black work. There's some hem stitching. There's some pulled work. There's some really cool decorative stitches in there. And Mill Hill buttons. And because I knew at some point I was going to do these 4 pieces, I made sure I bought all the buttons when I bought the patterns.
Ah. Uh-huh.
So
I like the
there
way
might even be a few. Yeah, there's a few beads in there too.
I like the way the buttons work without dominating the designs. They fit right in.
Yes. Yes. Oh, she was good at that.
Because sometimes they can be a bit much.
Yeah. And she used was either Crescent Colors or Weeks Dye Works because she likes her over dyes.
Uh-huh.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, true. Oh, Gary, I bought Cosmos when we were in Denver.
Uh-oh.
Over dyed, of course. Yep. And I already know what I'm doing with it.
All right. Well, we were talking before the show went live. These two were in
Yep.
Denver here recently and spent a ton of money. What were the 2 shops?
A stitching shop and diversions.
Okay. So anybody going to Denver, a stitching shop and diversions are your targets. Well, which one did you go to twice? A stitching shop?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So they're for people. Make a note. Make a note. So this design then, Robin, was it set up to be singles or set up to be a
Yes.
4-panel single? So then you then made it a full thing and figured out how much space in between.
Right. Right. I always knew doing the 4 that they were most likely going to be put together in a single frame. It was just a question of did I want it to stack them like I did here, or did I want them side by side?
Yeah.
And I really liked the way summer and fall were separated enough because the colors are very similar,
Okay.
so that you don't lose them.
Yeah.
And you stitched each of these separately, right, Robin?
Yes.
They're not all on one piece of fabric. The framers don't
okay.
like
No,
that.
they were. Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's easier for your framer.
Oh, really?
Right.
I didn't know. I would think they'd want it all in one piece.
No.
No.
No, it's much easier for them to mount it and to get it set up correctly in the mat.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes.
Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah.
It makes the mat cutting much simpler.
Oh, see,
Mhm.
good to
Mhm.
know. So, all right, so 4 separate pieces instead of. 'Cause I thought this was all on one piece of cloth.
Well, it started as a single piece of cloth, but then I cut it to the right sizes to stitch, and away we went.
And you stitched this in hand too, right?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, what is going on here in summer? What is this? Is this cut work or what is in these little white panels?
Hang on a second. I got to get a closer look. It's pulled work.
Pulled work. Okay,
Yep. It's pulled work.
it's a nice effect. Well, you got to try a little bit of everything in this.
I love mixed technique samplers because I do so many of these techniques.
Uh-huh.
Because you can see above the pink, there's some pulled work in there,
Yep.
and then some fun decorative stitches. Um, and then fall has a beautiful hem stitch band plus some decorative stitches that are done white on white in this case.
Mm-hmm. Wow. This is just really effective. It's so
Yeah, and
clean and it's clean and nice. It's not
Josie,
cluttered at
this
well,
all.
because it was so simple, because the designs themselves were relatively simple, I knew the framing and the matting had to be that way as well.
Yeah.
yeah. Josie, the designer of these is Nutmeg Needle. Are they still available
Yeah.
anywhere, Robin?
You can look. Some of her stuff is still available. If you if you search online, some of it will come up. I've done so many of hers, so many.
And many
And
of
I
her
did them because
pieces are samplers like this, where you have lots of different kinds of
yeah,
stitches.
yes, and techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Nutmeg Needle.
Yeah. Her tulips one is one that I did that I really love because in the bottom in filet lace, you spell out the word tulips.
Ah, I'll see if she'd do a
Her
show.
tulips, I think she's deceased, Gary.
Oh, well, that might be a challenge then.
Yeah.
Hey,
She was a designer out of Connecticut.
Oh,
do you remember her name?
Not off the top of my head.
I don't either.
well,
Oh, Sue Stokes. It just popped in. It's Sue Stokes. Susan Stokes.
okay.
You can try Alex Paris or Thistle Needleworks
Mm-hmm.
as a source. I want to say the last time I looked, they still had a few of her patterns.
Okay.
It's coming up on Google for at Alex Paris.
Okay. And
Alex,
that makes sense with them being in Connecticut.
spell Paris,
Yeah,
Paris?
Paras.
A-S, Paras, okay.
They've got several, but they don't have pictures.
What are the names?
Victorian Welcome, Sunflower Samplings, Bunches of Buttons, Beyond the Garden Wall.
I just
Summer
did Beyond the
Samplings.
Garden Wall.
Are these spring, summer, and fall and winter samplings?
I don't
They have
remember if she called them that or if they were titled what they are, the seasons. But they were individual leaflets. I know that.
okay. Butterfly Fantasy. Oh, they've got the tulip sampler.
I've stitched that one. The Butterfly Fantasy and Beyond the Garden Wall are hanging in the closet, waiting for me to decide I want to frame them.
Okay, so people wanted Alex Paris, Paras.
Yeah, I just searched for Nutmeg Needle, and something came up called Nutmeg Needle Works, and that I think is different. Yes, it is different. So you don't
Okay.
want Nutmeg Needle Works; it's Nutmeg Needle.
Okay. All right, there we go. And always got to enable people.
Absolutely. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if a stitching shop had some of her charts somewhere.
There you go.
Yeah, needlework shops that don't have a lot of turnover in certain areas, that's where you find these little treasures.
Mhm.
Mention Fiber Talk if you spend the money, please. Okay,
Yes.
these
Now,
things are
these
the
are my,
coolest. These are the coolest little ornaments.
they're all my designs.
Oh,
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent.
The blue one has been on the show before because it's an example. They're all pulled work. That's one I taught to the chapter, and I liked the way it turned out so well that I decided to stitch 2 more and put them over the 2.5-inch covered buttons, the Dritz buttons. That's
Huh.
what they're on.
Huh.
And in the maroon one, because I wanted it a little more rounded, I did asymmetrical eyelets to give me the shape I wanted. Took a little while to figure out how to stitch it because there wasn't anything charted for that I could find.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. But I
It gives the
remembered
illusion of
in one
roundness.
of the books, what?
It gives the illusion of roundness.
Yes, and that's what I wanted.
Mhm.
I remember reading in one of the books that I have that was talking about eyelets that you can make them any shape and size you need. So that's what I did.
So these
Satin stitch, 4
what are these about an inch across?
They're 2.5. They're 2.5 across.
2.5. Okay.
Yeah, is the button that they're on. So these are about 2 inches around, give or take a little bit. And then I gave them to our wonderful finisher, Connie, because she does twisted cord much better than I do, and she's faster at it, to finish for me.
Yeah. Now the back side, is it just thread through the edges and then pull it and draw it tight?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because these buttons have the little teeth on them that will catch the fabric.
Oh, okay.
And then you snap the back in place to hold it in.
Oh, all right.
They're great. They make
And on the
great
back is
ornaments.
still the shank of the button.
Cool.
In fact, my Connie emailed me and said, "Do you want the back covered?" And I texted her back and I said, "No, because last year they hung the wrong side."
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And these are called Dritz buttons.
These are Dritz buttons.
The Dritz sewing people. Yeah.
Yes. I think they were originally meant to be put on coats because they're big.
Uh-huh. But perfect for this.
Mhm.
They work great.
Excellent. Oh, people looking on eBay and whatnot. I got a thing from Barbara Hudson at Queenstown today. Somebody's been, I guess, is notorious for selling samplers that are, and I'll have it for you at another time. But watch yourselves with these, with some of these sellers. Just be aware when you're buying that you're getting legitimate stuff. But
Yeah.
some guy was,
Wow.
yeah, be careful.
So these were entered in the holiday decoration ornaments class. And if you do ornaments, you have to do a set of 3.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Well, because they tend to be smaller, they want to see proficiency.
Uh-huh. Sounds like you've got some judges that pretty much know what they're doing here at this fair.
Sometimes.
Okay.
And sometimes they don't know what they're looking at. They don't understand the technique well enough to be judging it.
Yeah.
We've run into both.
Okay. And now, all right, so your design, so then do you get a piece of graph paper out and sketch it out, or you just go for it and figure it out on the fly?
I'm a little like Sue Reed in that sense. I pick up the needle and thread and work through it.
Okay.
I will go to graph paper if I'm stuck. Like for the asymmetrical eyelets, I sat with a piece of graph paper to get it to work out correctly.
I see. Okay. But otherwise, just let her rip. Okay.
You got it.
All right. This thing is so cool.
This is my mother's Christmas gift. It's a
Don't.
table topper. It's 28 inches square on this beautiful pale blue linen with number 12 pearl cotton that matched the linen. And it is pulled work, primarily pulled work with a little bit of hem stitching.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
It took us, I don't know, I know who took first place, but I don't know what took first place because we didn't go to the fair this year. But one of her things on this was that the tension could have been a little better. And there are some spots where I don't disagree that could have been
Your
better.
your eyelets look great though, and it's so hard to get them
That's a
consistent.
ringed back stitch. That's a really funky, it's not really an eyelet. It's
Oh,
an
yeah.
interesting stitch to do.
Huh.
And then, excuse what I'm going to say, but the other stitch from Hardanger, because of when I learned, I know that is the faggot stitch.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
that's the way I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They call it something else now, and I can never remember what it is.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Yeah, that's how I've always known it. Yeah. I think back in the day it had a different meaning.
Bundle of sticks.
And then the hem stitching on the side is really a four-sided stitch that you pull. And then when I was done, I went and cut the threads from the corners and withdrew to create the opening.
Oh, I think I can see how that works. I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually you pull the threads out first and then do the stitching.
And then go back and, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wrap the bundles.
This is a Berta pattern in the, probably early 2000s. Berta did a series of handcraft magazines. I have, I think, all of their Hardanger ones, but some of them had pulled work, Hardanger, and Marishka, which is a Ukrainian pulled work technique, or a fillet lace technique. And a lot of times when I want inspiration, I go grab a stack of these and start going through it.
Uh-huh. Wow, this is beautiful. Really beautiful. Yeah.
3 stitches, that was it.
But you get that overlaid cross visual illusion, I guess. It really works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Wow. And how big was this, did you say?
It's 28 inches square.
Okay. A good one. Wouldn't it be fun to add? Yeah, exactly, Sandy. Yeah, and Ukrainian brought to mind, Krista West sent me some information the other day. She's got a Ukrainian piece that she just released, and she's trying to do some other ones. So if you're interested in stitching things based on Ukrainian designs, she's putting some together.
Get on her mailing list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Sign up. Well, this is beautiful. Whoever was first place had to be really good.
It was a member of our Blue Ribbon chapter. It was Emily Barton, who's the rabbi that belongs to our chapter. She's the rabbi in Des Moines. In fact, our chapter did very well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you guys have afterwards, do you have a meeting where everybody talks about and shows their winning things?
We do.
Yeah, okay.
Winning and losing.
Oh, okay.
Right. Because we learn.
Yeah, winning and losing. So.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Yeah, you learn, exactly. Get ideas, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. One of the things that I tell people that if your piece places, chances are very good you're not going to get much for comments.
Uh-huh.
Other than nice work, beautiful color, things like that.
Yeah.
So now, my other division that I love to enter in is needlepoint. And that's what this is. I had two pieces that didn't place in this division. They were both frame pieces. One of them, I know I've sent you a picture of, Gary, because it's Sister, Sun, and Brother Moon,
Oh,
which is
yes.
the Laurel Birch canvas. And
Yep.
I knew that one wasn't going to place because I knew my beads, some of my beads were laying over on the side and you could see the hole. And that was a function of the framing.
Oh.
I hadn't trained my framer at that point on how to do them properly.
Hmm.
So,
I assume the framer is
and
now
yes,
trained.
ladies, you do need to train your framers.
Yes.
So these are the pieces that earned me the sweepstakes prize in needlepoint. We have a three-dimensional. Again, we have ornaments or holiday decoration. We have silk gauze, 40 count silk gauze. And then we have the little screening piece in the orange frame that is mixed threads or mixed fibers was the class.
Okay. All right. Let's go back here. This is the silk gauze then.
This is the silk gauze, and this is an Erica Michaels petite pattern, her autumn. She's another one who likes to use Weeks Dye Works and Crescent colors. And I tend to do my silk gauze in a mix of continental and cross stitch.
Talk about working with silk gauze, because I have a couple of pieces here and I was all fired up to do them, and then life, but is that take a little practice to do, or pretty straightforward?
I treat it like needlepoint.
Okay.
The Erica Michaels pieces come with a piece of silk gauze big enough to stitch this on, but I like a bigger piece because I mount it on stretcher bars.
Oh, okay.
And the smallest ones you can get are 5 inches. So I have a stash of silk gauze, and I treat it just like needlepoint canvas. I tape the edges, and I take the tacks and put it on. The other way to do it is to mount it either on mat board with the area cut out so you can stitch, or sew another fabric around it and put it in a hoop or on a slate frame. One of our members, Julia, actually secured hers through styrofoam, like the tray that meat comes on.
Right. She cut a hole in the tray.
Yep.
And stitched her silk gauze to that.
I'll be darned.
Yep.
Huh. Because I think that's what made me set it aside, was just figuring out how to mount it. Because I knew you had to mount it on something, but I didn't know you could just simply mount it on stretcher bars.
If your piece is big enough, and a long time ago, because I like working on it, I bought a piece of silk gauze that was probably a half a yard. And so I can go cut a 5-inch square to have that to work with.
Okay. This is cool. And every silk gauze piece I've seen, they just come out, there's something about them. They just really have a nice look to them.
Well, I've been doing silk gauze for a while. And this one is my first blue ribbon in that class.
Oh.
So even for someone who enters as often as I do, there are still some challenges.
Yeah. And this is solid. This is all filled in here as I study it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things she does with her design. She has you stitch the background. And she like I said, she loves to use the Weeks Dye Works or Crescent colors. So they're the very subtle cotton overdyes. So all of the shading in the leaves, that's the overdyed. There's a little bit of shading in the background. That's the overdyed.
It's not stitched around the outside, though, of the block, right?
Correct. And that's also another thing. She frames her design with some sort of, simple border, and then you fill everything inside of that border.
Mhm.
Okay. Very nice. Who was it? Oh, Sandy. Sandy, need new glasses too. Somebody posted, I think, on YouTube today in the vision show that we did with Kelly and
Brenda?
Rinda that
Yeah.
she went to the eye doctor and she got lined bi or trifocals, don't remember which, and said world of difference. World of difference. So
Hmm.
that's on my list. Okay, these little ornaments are so cool. Let's see, what shot do we have? Here, let's start with this one.
These are Threedles is the designer, and I know this pattern is still available. And the neat thing about her 3-dimensionals, they can be finished by hand. You don't need to have someone really good at finishing to be able to finish these.
Well, that was going to be my first
Um,
question: is how you finished them, because it looks
the
intimidating to me.
instructions, she gives you the instructions on how to do it
No.
in the pattern. She did there's 3 different designs, and I did all 3 on each cube. I picked a canvas that I liked. So there's sage green, there's a pale pink, and then there's the lilac. I went and found an overdyed Caron thread, and this happens to be the wildflowers because she called for a fine thread.
Mm-hmm.
And then a Krynic that played well with the colors.
Uh-huh.
And it literally was whatever was struck me as, oh, that's interesting, and I want to work with it.
Yeah.
She has you back stitch around the blocks, and then you just whip stitch them together.
Hmm. What's in the inside? Is it stuffing or?
Yeah, I put a little polyfill.
Yeah, okay.
I had some fiberfill.
And I love the
And
way 2 of them are mounted from opposite corners and the other from one corner. You get a completely different effect out of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Cindy, I cut you off there.
that's okay. I haven't done one of these, but myself, but I think the way that she does them is that you don't do those blocks separately. Are they like 3 or 4 in a row, and then one that kind of sticks out?
Yeah, it's a continuous piece of fabric. So they're all stitched on the same piece of fabric with a little bit of space left in between them.
Hmm.
Okay.
And then
But
you just
again, she
fill that
explains
space
how to
in.
do that.
They really came out great. These remind me of those triangular pieces you made a couple years ago, Cindy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's a lot like that. It's a lot like that. Um,
But I like these because you think of ornaments and you think, Christmas trees. But like in this shot here, I mean, this can be any time of year.
Right.
Very rarely do I do the traditional Christmas colors for my ornaments. I
Mm-hmm.
have too much fun with color.
Yeah. These are great. Plus, they give you a chance to experiment with some stitches without doing a lifetime project.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Whoops, what'd I do? Okay, now the pear.
That was a painted canvas.
Oh,
That was a little shop canvas company, did a whole series of pears and apples that I came across at one of the secondary market sites for canvases, for painted canvas.
mm-hmm.
And that has a variety of stitches and threads in it. Again, Connie did the finishing.
Well, that's got
She's
to be
really good with
a
canvas and
challenge to
finishing
get it.
pieces.
That's got to be a challenge to get a pear shape just right. Holy smokes!
So
Yeah.
There's a little Krynic, there's some silk, there's some overdyes in there. I did 3 of them, and of the 3, this is the one that I felt was the best technically.
Uh-huh.
So
Now, what did you do with the stem and the leaf? The stem looks like felt.
it is just felt that's rolled and stitched in place, and then the leaf is stitched because it was part of the canvas, and then it's cut out, and that happens to be backed with ultra suede.
Okay.
And then she stitched it on. And that was one where do you want the leaves? And I said, wherever you want to put them, because in nature you find them all over. And she said, oh, good. I've worked. Connie has finished enough things for me that I really do trust her judgment a lot.
Uh-huh.
We've both of us have challenged her with certain things that we brought to her, and she's risen to the occasion every time.
Every time.
What's her name? Connie what?
Fink.
Connie Fink, F-I-N-C-K. She's an amazing seamstress as well. And because of Cindy and I bringing things to her, she started to stitch.
You sucked her in.
We sucked her in. Stitches and Coffee with Jergita, and I apologize if I pronounced that wrong, wants to know if you hang any of these ornaments in the car from the mirror.
No, I don't hang anything from my mirror in my car. That's just one of my things. But I do take these, like when we are demonstrating stitching in public, it's real easy to grab that little brass hanger and 3 of whatever. In fact, that's how I found the combs. I was looking for something to take to a stitch in public. I completely forgot I had done the 3-dimensional combs that were earlier. And I went, ooh, State Fair, here we come, 3-dimensional.
Yeah, that's Stitch in Public. Cindy and I did a show, 3 or 4 weeks ago, a Wednesday show, and Cindy talked about their Stitch in Public efforts. Go back and listen to that, because that's an excellent program or activity for local chapters to do.
And it's really just about get out there and be seen. You may not attract anyone, but you're planting that seed in someone's brain.
Right.
And they may pass it on to someone else. They may say, oh, by the way, did you know this group exists? Yeah.
That's just cool, yeah. Yeah, go back and look. It's a couple Wednesdays shows back, I think. Cindy and I did. Cindy went through in some detail how they go about it. So, but you know, people are always looking for programs that don't cost anything or activities that don't cost anything. Well, that's one of them.
Right.
Just got to show up.
Yeah.
All right, this thing.
No.
Oh man, I love this. Best
This
of
is an
show.
Orna Willis piece. This
I
is Orna
wondered-
Willis's
I wondered,
Reflections
okay.
of Joy.
Okay, all right, good. I still have it a little bit then. All right.
Yep.
Yep.
It's not in print anymore. It's not on her website. And I gravitated, I've had it for a long time. I've had the pattern for a long time, and it was just one of those days where I was looking for something to stitch, and everything kind of fell into place for me on this one. First of all, it uses Tahiti. That's the border and some of the other squares. Tahiti is my favorite Karen watercolor in the world. It also used amethyst, so the dark purple Jessicas, that's the silk, that's the water lilies, as well as the piece, the multicolored 4-leaf clover, for lack of a better term. That's the silk Tahiti. There's patina in there. There's some trebizond, because I didn't have the color in the thread she called for. There's some neon rays. If you go look at the corners closely, there was a fit of insanity on Orna's part as well as mine, because there are woven blocks, and in the middle
Right
That's a
here.
flat ribbon. It's probably Neon Rays Plus or Fireworks, one of the two.
That's these here?
And yeah, and a
Okay.
pearl cotton. And that's woven over and under.
Oh my.
And my ribbon is flat.
As it should be.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if
I
you're
changed a
interested,
few colors
go ahead.
in the middle a little bit. She had, I want to say, where I have the bright yellow, she had purple.
Uh,
And I wanted the light purple around the middle because it played better with the threads that were in there and the colors that were there. And then the green motif that's out around it. That was a DMC overdyed thread that I happened to have here at the house that I just really liked the way it looked with everything else.
mhm.
Again, that's not the color she used there or the thread she used there. Now, because this was an older pattern, some of the threads had been discontinued. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to replicate that, but I know enough about threads and how they behave that I was able to make suitable substitutes for the stitches that she called for.
Yeah. Yeah, if folks, if
Yeah.
you're looking for somebody unique in the county canvas world, Orna Willis, we've done 3 or 4 shows with her. She is absolutely one of my favorites. Her kits can be a little on the pricey side, but you get plenty of thread and just beautiful designs. You know, this is just exactly one example of the kind of work she does, but very textured and colorful and yeah, really just one of my favorite people. So Robin, when you're switching colors, take us through a little of the mental process there. You see something you don't like, or in this case, couldn't get the thread for. Is it obviously you have a good grasp of color and how colors work, but is there some experimentation to it too?
Sometimes, and sometimes I will stitch a little bit and look at it and go yuck and take it out.
Okay.
Some of it is understanding, first of all, what is the stitch that you're going to be doing with this thread? Because not every thread is suitable for every stitch.
Yeah.
But the foundation of this, which was the Tahiti Karen watercolors and water lilies and the amethyst water lilies, I kept because I liked them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I know I didn't have the thread she used for the Jessicas in the corner that are bright yellow. That I know I did in Trebizond. But I had a yellow neon rays, and those are the big crescents.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it was in a couple places, I just wanted it a little brighter.
Okay.
And so I went with the yellow instead of a dark purple, which is what she had in the original design. I wanted a little more green in it. And so my inner border is done in Frosty Rays. That's what that is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then again, around that inner square, the light and dark green shamrocks, for lack of a better term, that's a DMC overdyed pearl cotton.
Oh.
So all of those colors are just that thread naturally.
Hmm.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's all right.
And I knew it played well with the Tahiti because I had used it previously on another piece.
Okay.
On an Amy Bear piece, either Rhapsody or Romance. I don't remember which one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Cindy,
Robin,
you don't have
what-
any trouble changing colors either. Is it pretty much
No.
the same approach for you?
Yeah, very much so. If I don't like it, I'll pull it out and go find something that does work for it.
Now,
Yep.
and part of that, you know, and this isn't going to come out right, but part of that is really having a stash of threads so that you can just haul out a bunch of stuff and play with it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, I laugh, but Cindy and I, we've outgrown stash. We have inventory, and I'm not
Yeah.
kidding when I say that.
Yeah.
And after going to Denver, I not only did I add some to the thread inventory, but I greatly enhanced my available canvas color inventory as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but see that, like we joke about Beth and her basement full of threads, but on the serious side, if you're going to change colors and threads on an ongoing basis, it helps to have
Yes,
inventory.
yes,
Right.
Yeah, especially if you don't
And,
have a
yep,
store nearby.
right. And the other thing that is just an absolute must, in my opinion, is a DMC color, real thread color card.
Yes.
yes, yes,
Because with that, you can find the color that you want, and then you call up the store and say, okay, I want a neon rays or whatever in a color that's
yep,
close to DMC,
yes,
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah. Then they can at least
yeah,
get you in the ball game. Yep.
Right. But you do
yeah.
have to be familiar with
And
the different threads so that you know what to ask for.
Yeah.
mhm. And this was my second consecutive best in show in needlepoint in the same class, which is mixed fibers.
That's very cool.
I've never done that
Now,
2 years in a row.
what did you use for the orange in that center block?
Pearl cotton,
A little bit of an overdye or two different colors?
2 different colors.
Okay.
That's good old size 5 pearl cotton.
Well, it's a nice effect.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This whole piece is just really pleasing because when you start putting these colors together, at least in my eyes, you can overdo it in a hurry, and it just becomes a blinding mess. But I think you found that happy medium of bright colors without it being too much.
Hmm.
Yep, yep. I have
Oops.
the threads and the canvas for 2 more of her pieces, older pieces.
Uh-huh.
One of them is under her her name of Ornaments, and the other one she did for Rainbow Gallery, so it's one of theirs.
Oh.
And I'm totally changing the colorway on that one. Well, because I
Sandy,
found there's a. Go ahead.
go ahead. Oh, Sandy P wants to know, where does one start in working up a thread stash?
You literally, like Cindy and I used to do. I will never forget this. I don't remember which needlework store we walked into, but I was with you, and I looked at. She said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Oh no, I'm just here for stash enhancement," and I thought she was going to fall over. I
Yeah,
literally was just there to buy threads that caught my eye and piqued my interest, and I'm not kidding on that.
Yeah.
right. And that's, that's how I acquired my watercolors collection. Just by,
Oh
seeing
yeah,
the watercolors and, ooh, I like that one and that one and that one and that one. And pretty soon I've got 10 of them in my hand.
yep,
And the overdyed threads, like the watercolors, are a really good place to start when you're changing colors on a piece, because
yes,
you're going to use the colors that are in that particular thread that you've chosen, and you might go darker or lighter with some of them, but it's all that right there for you.
yeah.
And that's
And that
that's
is a very common jumping off point for me, is to start with an overdyed,
mhm.
especially if the piece has an overdyed in it to begin with.
Hmm.
The other thing to look at is what is the threads that they're using. What are the stitches that these threads are used for? I had a pattern the other day that she said lay 6 strands of floss, and I went, no freaking way! I'm going to go get a size 5 pearl cotton.
I would have laid the 6 strands of floss because I like to do that. But
Yeah, and I
obviously, you
don't. It
don't
sets
have
my
to.
teeth on edge. But that's the other thing too, understanding the size of the thread, what the stitch is that it's being used for. Because sometimes I find in older designs, they had a very heavy hand with the threads.
Yeah.
And they're having you use, 4 to 6 strands when, depending on the stitch, especially if it's a Jean Hilton based stitch, 3 strands of silk will cover beautifully on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to put us back on screen. Yeah, this whole stash enhancement or inventory growth thing is interesting because, like the painter's threads thing, that's why that was put
Yep.
together. Then you got some threads to play with, and then Clara Washower, I'm doing her her little frog class, and then she was kind enough to send me. She puts together these boxes,
Oh my gosh.
and she was kind enough to send me one.
Neat.
And it's just a collection of gold work threads, and they're all falling out, of course. But and that's what her box is for. Is just here's a bunch of threads and beads that you can just have, and then as you're working on a piece, if you think, hey, I could use a little gold work here, or maybe some beads, then you have some in your stash. And I remember one time I was Debbie Rowley when we lived in Illinois. Her son lived not too far from us, so she would come and visit. And I was in a local store with her once, and she did just what you guys were talking about doing. She just went through the store and she was just gathering up threads that she hadn't seen or colors she had, and that was her purchase. And it was nothing more than to take them home and have them available when she's creating a design. There was no purpose other than I need to have these here instead of having to look at pictures or go to a shop when I really want to use them. And
The other thing is that you'll often have threads left over from any given project. Sometimes you
Yes,
don't use
or
anywhere
class.
near. Yeah, you don't use a whole skein of watercolors or whatever it is. So that becomes part of your stash.
Yeah.
Speaking of changing colors,
Oh, wait. There we go. Full screen. Yep.
this is a kickback and stitch octagon. These are not the colors she used. I started with turquoise trails as the overdyed, and then away I went. Her crescent, there's 5 different threads in that stitch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's packed. That's cool though.
Yeah.
Oh, her stuff is so neat. It's so neat. And she's another one that we lost way too soon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a classic example. Can you reuse stretcher bars? Hold that thing up. Look how many holes are in that thing. And she's on the other side of it now. Yeah, these things. Yeah, a set of stretcher bars last you forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lots of room for
Yeah, and
holes.
occasionally I hit the same hole with the tack, so they go in real easy.
Yeah.
My 6-inch stretcher bars get a workout. I do a lot of smalls. I do a lot of ornaments.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But they let me play with color.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In a small space. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sue D is asking how many skeins, same dye lot, of an overdye do you purchase at the same time?
That depends greatly on the pattern, but for just stash, and I'll use Karen as an example, I will buy the water lilies, the wildflowers, and the watercolors, all in that family. Tahiti is one of the ones that I always have a full skein in my inventory of all 3 all the time. That's how much I go to it and use it. Turquoise Trails is fast becoming another one. Debbie's Fun Stuff, which she did in blues, purples, and greens, the thread that you saw in this little piece, that's the thread I used as my foundation for that piece. So there were rusts and bright greens and that gorgeous turquoise. Yeah.
The Karen collection.
If you have something in mind for it, if you've got something in mind in particular, the pattern will help you determine how much you need.
Right.
The designers are very good at saying one card or so many yards, things like that. The neat thing with the Karen is because it is strandable, and one strand of the watercolors is a size 5 pearl cotton, you get a lot. You get,
Right.
I think it ends up being 30 yards of a single strand on the card.
Mhm.
So,
If I'm buying floss, I'll often buy 2 skeins just because I don't know what I'm going to use it for.
yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah, not that
that way I've
expensive.
And
got
when
2.
I take
They're not that expensive, right?
Yeah.
And when I take floss out of the inventory that I have, I put it next to the one that I want to use and make sure that they do match. And if they don't match, then I go get enough that does match.
Right.
To me, you can never have too much floss because there's so many things it can be used for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, in a good shop, the Karen Collection section I think, is a great place to start. Yeah, just
Hmm.
because there's so many combinations, and you start to see, just picking out the colors within the overdyes. Oh, wait, I could take this color and make it, my base color, and there's so many things you can do. And then there's 3 or 4 different types of threads. 3 lilies.
Well, we didn't even talk about impressions.
Oh yeah,
Right.
The impressions is their silk and wool, but it doesn't come in as many overdyed colors as the cotton and the wildflowers, water lilies, and watercolors does.
yeah.
But there are a lot of
And then
solids
they
in
have
it.
soie cristal and snow.
Right.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of
Yeah.
options there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the projects that our Blue Ribbon chapter is going to be working on over the winter when we're doing Zoom meetings is called It's a Mystery. And it was designed by Debbie Rowley, Pat Hartman. I never remember everybody's names.
Mary Knapp and Linda Reinmuller.
Right. And it was a smaller project in Needlepoint now a while ago.
Yes.
And Robin had stitched it. And when we were working on our future program, she brought that and showed it to me. And we decided what we would do for it to be a mystery is we would have people draw lots to find out what thread they were going to use. And Robin and I went through our stashes of overdyed floss. We're using floss.
Yep.
And had everybody pull out a number. And then Robin looked at the number and said, okay, you get this one and you get this one. And everybody has to work with the thread that they drew for the project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
And this past weekend we went to the shop in Waverly and helped some of our members pull threads.
Ah.
And canvas, because this is the one again where there's a lot of open canvas. So your canvas color is part of your design.
Mhm.
Right.
There's another guild or chapter activity. Just going to a shop and pulling threads for projects. Yeah. Sue was asking a number of skeins, thinking about stash enhancement. I think for most overdyes, I just buy one if I'm just one skein of an overdye, and then if I decide to use it and need more, then add to it later.
Mm-hmm.
Because the neat thing with a lot of the overdyes is they're strandable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are a few that aren't, but when I look at what I have for all the different overdyes in my inventory, most of them are strandable, whether they're a silk or a cotton.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Karen and the 2 Rainbow Galleries are the kind of exceptions to that strandable cotton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the Overture, Bravo, and Encore are strandable.
They are strandable, right. And so is watercolors.
Yeah.
They're just heavier
Yeah.
weight than floss.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. All right. I think we'll end it there. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I think we'll end it there. Sunday is Ruth Singer. Next Wednesday, there will be no show, no podcast. Then we'll be back after that on the schedule for a couple weeks, and then another week off, and then on we'll go. And hard to believe that we're staring at November here, coming up quickly. Yeah,
Yes.
it was just Christmas 2 months ago, and it's going to be again. Yep. All right, Robin and Cindy, thanks so much. That was a great time. Learned a lot. Thanks to everybody for joining us, and we'll see you the next time. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.